Got it.
And there we go. Now it's red.
Okay, I'm showing that it's good. So I think we're live. Before I call it to order, I guess I'll just introduce what we're doing here, a Google Meet meeting for our board meeting. On the call, it's me, Chris Hackey, Jeff Hyde, Mr. Fiskus, Justin, Lorna, Nicole, Rob from home, Tara, and then on speakerphone with me is Tim Edgerton. So I don't think I missed anybody there. We'll go ahead and get started with the pledge to the flag. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Into
to the republic which stands
one
one
nation.
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 11 a.m. The agenda is set. We don't have any presentations for today, so we'll move to the approval of the minutes. Be resolved that the minutes of the February 25th, 2020 meeting be approved. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. No visitors requests today. Approval of the warrants. Be it resolved after an audit of the bills, payment of the February 20th and March 5th warrant and internal claims auditor reports to be approved. Can we get a motion?
So moved.
Any
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Passes. Treasurer's report. Be it resolved that the treasurer's report for February 2020 be approved. Can we have a motion? Tim?
Second.
Jeff? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Second reading of the privacy and security policy. John, you want to take that?
Sure. Again, board, this is your second reading of the Ed Law 2D policy that needs to be in place come July 1st of 2020. Really, it's for third-party vendors and some of the outreaches that we have in regards to the platforms that we have our staff and administrators and our students a part of. It's just the protection of their PII, which is their personal information that they can't be identified. And so, again, this is just a new policy that all school districts need to have by July 1st. No new information has come my way to amend the policy that I gave to you last month with the first reading. So you can, again, sit on it for another month and approve it next month or approve it now. I don't see any changes. And when they do come down the road, I'll certainly make the board aware.
So you don't anticipate, obviously everybody's busy with a lot of other things right now. Is there any benefit to waiting on this in case somebody did want to plug something in, we didn't have to revisit it?
It's really up to you. Like I said, this does not need to be in place till July 1st. So I gave it to you early. So, there's no reason that you need to approve it now. You can certainly wait and see what the next month brings. There's certainly time.
Okay. Why don't we give it one more month just in case they want to change it and we don't have to open it back up again. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. It's fine.
Yep.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. That's it for that. I think we're on to Nicole.
Okay, so I emailed out last week to everyone. I shared the budget presentation slides and the detailed expense and revenue, and so I'm just going to go over that right now. Lorna had some initial questions that I plan on addressing towards the end of the meeting. And I'm sorry, from a procedural standpoint, is my presentation supposed to come up now, or am I supposed to be seeing myself?
We don't have anything up right now other than you.
We can put it up, right? I mean, I'm looking at it now.
So I believe, Nicole, on your end, you should have the slide and present the slide on your end.
Okay, that's fine. I just needed to know what the situation was. 1 second. And I can do that. Sorry, bear with me. I didn't realize, I thought somebody else was going to have that. I didn't know I had to present it.
And then I believe on Rob's end, he will pin the presentation.
Hold on 1 second. Rob's calling me, probably to try to help me. 1 second. Bear with.
All right, I'm calling you right now. Mine froze.
Couldn't we just pull her slide up from the her
Probably.
original email?
Can't we all just look at it? That's what I was wondering.
Nope, not Sam.
Yeah, it's the same thing you can get off of.
Or Jack.
Looks like we're getting here now, Nicole.
Yep.
Nicole's trying to figure out how to unmute herself. I can hear her in the other room, so we're close. We'll be pros at this. Hopefully we won't need it.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not, man.
although it is nice to see something.
So we can see you now, Nicole. Can't hear you.
Popping up. Hold on.
Oh, we got you, Nicole.
I hear you.
All right. Perfect. Here we go.
So we don't have your slide. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. No.
We got your slides now.
Okay. So you guys are good.
We got it.
Okay. All right. So to start with, our mission obviously is to maintain our student programs and exhibit fiscal responsibility with the school community's tax dollars and continue to realign our existing resources that we have to increase our student achievement. So a timeline which has kind of been blown out of the water as the last week has gone on. This is really the full budget presentation. I think we will need an additional budget workshop or at least more guidance from the board on where we want to be as a district. So I haven't heard anything else about what's going to happen in terms of the budget vote happening. I am meeting with my school business officials and the state executive director of school business official group to discuss our current questions that we have for the state ed department on these issues. So more to come. I'm meeting with them Friday and then again on Monday. So hopefully I'll know more. There's a lot of rumors. I don't want to get into them. Once we know more about the budget vote and how that's going to look, I'd be happy to share that with you. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, April 1st, don't have to worry about it.
So the executive budget that Governor Cuomo presented, that has really been the only thing that has happened. COVID-19 has been on everybody's minds. Here we are meeting in this manner because of it. So as I've heard, he's not going to make an issue about the aides this year. I think he discussed on TV anything that he's presented that are on his agenda, he's going to get to. But I think this year he is not going to address major changes like we have seen, like rolling up our expense-based aids and the things that we discussed in the last board meeting that I was concerned about. I think moving forward, we can expect that to be what our minimum aid is, but I don't think that the push for transportation or BOCES aid to be rolled up will happen this current fiscal year.
Do you think that's true even in light of the big budget deficits that are going to happen because of COVID-19?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I wish I did. I think that part of everyone's stress during this time is just not knowing anything that's going to happen. There are so many questions that we don't have answers to. And as big of a health crisis as we're in an even bigger financial crisis. So I think that we need to be cognizant of where we go as a board and as a community and a school district, and continue to do the very best we can. So I put this budget together, and it's been very similar since for the last 3 weeks roughly. And after I sent this email out, John and I had discussed the potentials of what our initiatives were and where we could make cuts and what we were going to do for the next budget. So some things I know will change, but in general, this is the budget that we put together. So as you can see, some of the biggest increases are the equipment line has increased. We had our buses in the prior fiscal year that we purchased. We had a $20,000 roughly increase in a $15,000 increase in what we're putting in the general fund for budget for the buses, and then a small other increase in the middle school and the high school. I wanted to add $10,000 of equipment in those two areas because it seems like every single year we struggle, and equipment is one of the lines that you can't add to or take from. So you can just transfer within equipment lines. So I wanted to make sure we had enough money there to cover any of the potential things we might need to replace that we don't know about. From a dollar standpoint, you can see tuition has increased. That's one of the areas that I have some excess built into. I know that we are currently working on potentially cutting some of those as we move forward with our plans for the 2021 budget. But I think we really have to acknowledge our population has been shifting and changing. And we've had at least 2 students move into our district that are very high needs. So that's an explanation for that area.
So this is tuition that we pay to other institutions to take care of our students who have those high needs?
Correct.
Okay.
It's all tuition, but the highest amounts are to the institutions that we pay. And that doesn't include BOCES, any students that are special ed for BOCES.
Okay.
So I'm going to move to the next slide and just talk about the assumptions that I used. Staffing, we're not asking for any additional staffing. Contractual increases for our union employees and 3% increase for our confidential employees, which is not a guarantee. That's just what's in the current budget as we move forward. Health insurance increase 4.5%. TRS increase to 10. That in with the markets the way they are, what the real increase is going to be in either TRS or ERS for that matter. So ERS has not come out with their rate sheet for April 2020. So it's pretty scary given what we're going through with the markets. So I built a 0.5 to a 1% increase depending on the tier for that. So we know of a couple of retirements at the least. So I've increased our retirement incentive line to account for that. And as I said, our increase in high needs students has caused our tuition increase, and we've put in reserve amounts for potential new placements. And I also discussed the equipment, the bus purchase, and then we have a maintenance truck that we want to replace. But we also, again, I've also built in some money for our elementary school and our middle high school equipment, just to make sure that we have those lines available if it's needed. So I have built
for those
in
buses, Nicole, in the previous, are they 2 different buses? Did we see like in what you're running through the budget a different cost than what's
Yep.
the proposition?
some of our expense for buses is going through the general fund, and some is going being put up for a proposition to be financed. So if we finance a bus, we have to put that as a separate proposition to the voters.
And the costs were different on those 2 buses?
So the general fund has a 1 bus plus 2 cars, and the financing has 1 bus.
Okay.
So we looked at the cost out of the general fund, we're thinking about 132 to 135 for the bus, plus an additional $40,000 for two vehicles.
Okay.
We're thinking minivans just because they give us more flexibility. And we're currently working on what those would look like.
Okay.
So that's why there's a difference. Sorry, I should have explained that better. So areas of excess that I have built in, ERS, TRS, I have about $40,000 built in. FICA, which is the federal taxes, $25,000. Health insurance, $85,000. And then BOCES, an additional $100,000. I mean, currently our OC ed costs are way up. We are seeing a lot of kids going to the vocational half-day classes at BOCES. So I wanted to make sure we had some excess built in there just in case we have students that, additional students who may want to go next year, or that's what fits into their educational plans.
Are these numbers trimmed down a little bit since the email you sent us last week? I thought the health insurance maybe was 100,000 plus. Is that
No.
okay? So these are the same as what we were emailed, because I know you had a bit of a budget gap there. I wasn't sure if you'd.
Yeah, I haven't even bridged the budget gap. What I wanted to do is have this discussion with the board and then get their feedback from where they wanted me to go with it.
Okay.
If that's
Nicole, sorry, Nicole, for the occupational ed,
Yep.
does that fluctuate depending on the number of students that actually attend?
correct. So for next year, we're paying 2020, 2021, we're paying for the number of students we had this year.
Okay.
But sometimes we have that influx and they'll bill us for additional students depending on what that looks like. I build the excess in that line because we reserve a certain number of spots for other BOCES related costs. I can't remember some of the names of the educational classes that go on over there, but we do at times get billed per student during that fiscal year.
So
Depending
that excess and that occupational ed can be moved if
Yeah, yep. I have it in that line for BOCES, but it's not just for that, it's for other potential placements.
gotcha.
So the occupational education is the line that covers people in building trades and cosmetology. And would the flexibility come if we needed to send someone to alternative ed? Is that the type
Yeah.
of?
That's what I'm talking about. We sign up for a number of spots for alternative ed, and then if we need more, then they bill us additional during the fiscal year.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else?
Yeah, just a curiosity. Why do you think the numbers are going up for occupational education? Are we not offering enough electives here for kids to take, or
I don't think it has anything to do with the electives that we're offering. I think John can probably speak better to this, or JC or Matt if they were here. I mean, I can look into it further. I don't think it has to do with our electives because it's only a half day program, from my understanding. I think it's more the student interest.
Okay.
And
I think you're getting more people that value trades now than
Sure.
before.
You're absolutely right. Yes.
The next direction.
Yes, Chris, you're absolutely right. We're seeing just an influx of kids that, tend to be drawn to, the skills and the trades. It's just an influx of kids that have more interest in it. So.
and
Let's
I don't
look
think
at
that's a
who's
bad thing.
considered essential now.
No, I think it's a good thing that they're interested in trades. I was just curious.
Yep.
Okay, so the revenue. So as I provided you a revenue detail, then you can pull that up. Just some of the things that we were requesting before. That budget currently has a 1% increase for taxes. And I know that's something we're going to discuss further. The pilot decrease for GCEDC. So when we get the initial pilot notifications from Genesee County Economic Development, they send us this sheet and it has all of the different governments on there. So it has the town, the county, and then the school district. So, I used the sheet that they gave me, and then we had some discrepancies last year when we went for approval for getting reimbursed for our pilot. So again, some discrepancies happened, and we were supposed to get additionally 1 year at the lower rate. So that's why we had that fluctuation. Next year, we'll go back to the $560,000. I've discussed our state aid increases as being nominal. And I hope John provided to you the detail of the state aid from the executive budget and the memo that I provided to him that explained where we were at in terms of increases for state aid. There are some differences to what I build in the budget for state aid, because we know that I'm not going to get the number of transportation aid. Transportation aid and BOCES aid are based on our expenditures year over year. So I decrease those based on what I normally do in the budget, just because we know we budget for a certain amount, but we may not necessarily always spend that. And a great example is in our gas and diesel lines. So I reduce those just so that I can make sure that we're going to be getting roughly the same amount of expense-based aids as we think we should. So some other notable increases and decreases. Again, we decreased the appropriated fund balance from year to year. That's been something we've been working on decreasing. And we have a $100,000 decrease from our E-rate BOCES project that we had started this current year, which is completed. We spent money, but we also got revenue for that. So there's a decrease in our E-rate revenue line. So year over year, this is our budget to budget change. I just thought it was an interesting look. We know that we're not going to be increasing our budget 3.1% this fiscal year, but I just wanted you all to see where the changes have happened over the fiscal years. Kind of interesting information. Then, of course, we always want to discuss the increase in the tax rates potentially. As you can see, this very last slide would be if we were going to go out at a 1% increase, that would be the change from 1920, $53,132. And that would bring the total levy to $5,366,368. And so you can see how that would fluctuate. This is all estimates because we know year to year increases and decreases in assessments can happen. The equalization rate, of which you can see Pembroke is not equalized at the same amount as everybody else. So they have a little bit different of a rate. So overall, our rate would increase to $21 and 0.455470 cents per thousand. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is just basically getting some more guidance. John and I had discussed we just need your feelings on that. More to come on where that's at. But what are your feelings and thoughts on this?
Nicole, could you repeat what you said because it cut out and I couldn't hear it?
Sure.
Definitely.
The tax increase of 1%. Where are you all at with that? What is your guidance? What do you all want to do with taxes this year?
I would say that I think we need to look at what a 0% tax rate increase would look like for the district. Maybe you could present a couple different scenarios there. If $55,000 wasn't available, what would that make the budget look like? What do we lose if that were to occur?
Okay.
I think that's a good idea to look at that picture.
I'm very open to that. I think that, hold on one second. I'm working on pulling up another spreadsheet that I created. I had a list of sort of things I wanted to talk about. Some things that I'm wrestling with right now. And again, I don't have answers for these, but currently we're looking at what's going to happen with our BOCES aid for next year and what's going to happen with state aid for 1920, state aid for 2021, and then with our budget vote, are we going to be able to have additional propositions? Again, I've heard that potentially budgets, if they're under their cap, are just going to pass without voter approval. I don't know the answer to that. So these are things I'm working on getting answers to. And I can certainly put together a budget that trims our excess that's built into lines, and it's just going to leave us with a lot less flexibility.
Now, are we doing that just to look at it? I mean, we're not going to present a 0% budget, are we?
Correct. No, what we can do for the board is Nicole and I can sit down. We can crunch some numbers and give you different scenarios. Like she had mentioned, currently right now, her presentation and a lot of these numbers reflect a 1% tax increase. We can certainly give you the after effects of if we just went out with a flat rate of 0%, what that would entail, and where some of the the cuts or losses could come from. So we can just present that to you. I would suggest maybe in the next week or so, within the next 2 weeks, given the state that we're in, that maybe the board meets again and we just have a budget workshop to take a look at those figures.
So kind of rattle out a couple questions to both Nicole and John. So first to Chris, I would say that yes, we really would consider as a board if we wanted to move forward with a 0% or at least talk about it. When the dust settles, we'll be asking at the same time as if there was a vote and it didn't happen the way Nicole said may occur, that just be passed. We'll be asking for the community to approve a $15 million capital project, and who knows what the state of unemployment will be in our community at that time. So I think we should at least consider and see what this looks like. Along those lines, the $8 million question is, and I'm sure the community wonders, what's the potential surplus, additional surplus, because school is closed now and may be closed for some period of time.
Sure.
If I keep going on my questions, we're in the middle of our contract negotiation with the teachers. Obviously not interested in the particulars of it, but what does this shutdown do? If you can't get that settled by what date, what occurs? And the last question, it was presented to board members. When the shutdowns, some employees are being paid, and it's along the lines of that surplus discussion. Some employees are being paid and some aren't. If you could just give us and the community some insight as to, how that line got drawn and the thinking behind that, please.
Sure, I could answer the last two questions for you. So I met with the teacher unit president. We are going to continue negotiations. Whether it be through this type of platform. We are meeting next Monday to continue on because there are some things that we do consider essential, just like this board meeting and some of the approvals, we are continuing on. So hopefully, even though schools are closed, we can continue our discussions, moving forward. As far as the employees within the district. So obviously we have budgeted for salaries for the year. So any employee that is full-time, part-time, or a long-term sub, basically under contract, are being paid. And so the teachers are obviously still working from home. Our counselor, everybody is still doing what they can without being on campus. So we continually to pay them. Bus drivers, cleaners, maintenance, everybody within the district that is under contract still has their health benefits and their full rate of pay based on the number of hours they worked. The line is drawn with per diem substitutes within the district, whether that be teachers, cleaners, any other employee that's technically not under contract with the district.
So to add to that, some things that we currently know are that, people are worried they're not even going to get the rest of their state aid this year. So I'm not sure in terms of responsibility, I don't think we can just pay per diem subs from a legal standpoint, but I also don't think it would be very responsible of us, as a district, as we look at our cash flow, because we are responsible to pay our contractual employees at this point, as far as I know. So that's just in addition to what John has already said. In terms of our surplus and what that looks like, again, we're still paying our employees their whatever we budgeted. I mean, there's going to be some surplus from our substitutes not being paid, but that's not going to be $200,000. I think I did a brief analysis of a 3-week period, and it was roughly $40,000. But again, we're all the way through March. Our expectation is that, and that was between all the groups of people. That was cleaners, that was teachers, that was teachers' aides, that was everybody over a 3-week period. So I don't think there's an expectation that we are going to have a huge surplus above and beyond what I've already shared with you all. So we are going to save in electric and gas. That's for sure. We have locked down with our controls the usage of our gas. I mean, but again, we've already gone through the coldest winter months, and is that going to be a real true savings on what our expenditures are? We are expecting, and I pulled up, these are the considerations that I'm currently looking at with my other school business officials, and why I'm meeting with the state executive director, because they are talking to SED directly about what our concerns are and what we need guidance on. So these are just some of the things that we have discussed currently, and some of the concerns that I have in our budget considerations. So that's not it. Hold on. But looking at it from a surplus standpoint, we need to remember that 90% of our expenditures are payroll and benefits, and we are still paying those regardless of whether people are here or not. So I am currently working on an updated surplus for you all. I haven't completed it yet, but I think that we all need to be cognizant of what's going on right now, and the fact that we are still paying all of our contractually obligated employees at this point.
Nicole,
You're saying there's some question on the substitute employees, whether if we chose to pay them, if legally we could.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, that's a gift of public funds. They haven't actually been appointed a position. They don't earn leave time. And I have some guidance on gifting public funds and what would happen if the comptroller came in here and did an audit of that at this time for us, what that would look like.
Yeah, Matt, those per diem substitutes aren't under any official contract. We also have, with all of the different departments, I'd say probably a list of 45 to 50 substitutes. Again, whether it be teachers or teacher aides or, cleaners, things like that. So, I did reach out to the GVEP region, and that's what the school districts are doing, paying their contractual employees, taking care of the employees under contract, again, whether that be, full-time, part-time, long-term subs that have been appointed into positions due to medical leaves or maternity leaves. But as far as per diem subs, that's where the line is drawn, because there's an extensive list, and they're not under contract.
So even when the per diem subs are looked at, I for my, excuse me, my understanding is when you say per diem sub, it could be they've worked in the district for 5 days or they've worked in the district for 100 days. Is that what you're determining as per diem?
Yes, and those per diem subs, they come in and substitute, in different titles and for different people. So they're not, again, the difference between them and long term is, someone's appointed into a position that they regularly have, due again to a maternity leave or a medical leave. So yes.
So it would just be almost impossible to try to determine the number if somebody was here 100% of the time opposed to somebody that was here 4 or 5 days in the course of the year, is what kind of the districts are saying right now that would be.
Yes, and and we can run those reports of how many days a certain individual was here working for the district. But again, I think what Nicole is saying and what we have all said is that the line is drawn based on are they under a contract? Are they protected under a contract? Are they receiving health benefits? The question did come in about long-term subs, and we said, well, we need to take care of them because they're still in a position where they're, taking care of our children and our, buildings and grounds. So, the line was drawn where, they may not necessarily be under contract, but they are facilitating a position for somebody who is, and that's where the line was drawn.
The other thing is they were board approved for that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Subs are approved to work per diem for us when they're actually working.
It's
That
just,
is the delineation.
Is it, John, based on your conversations with other districts, that's pretty standard practice throughout the region?
Yes, absolutely.
it's a tough idea because these people are definitely essential to keeping our daily functions moving, and it's just tough. For them.
I don't disagree with you, but yes, again, there's some legalities into, just gifting monies and where do you draw the line if your lists, contain 45 or 50 substitutes, whether they're, bus drivers or teachers or, cleaners or cafeteria people. That's where the line was drawn.
Yep.
So can I ask a question? If going forward, what we're talking about is the bus driver substitutes who worked every day. So when school is in session, if they're deemed to be essential, if I understand you correctly, there's nothing we can do about it this year because they were hired as per diem subs. If going forward, we think having a substitute bus driver or 2 or 3 or however many we have that work every day on a per diem basis, we would have to make arrangements with them, as some districts do, that they are a per diem substitute, but they're guaranteed to work every day. Would that then change how they get paid in a situation like this?
Yes, that would depend. I know some school districts have building-based subs.
Yep.
Where these people are appointed every single day to the district.
Even if they don't need
Right.
a sub every day.
They then
Correct.
come in and do something, right?
Correct.
Now, doing something like that, would you then have to offer these people benefits?
That's another string that's attached. Yes, a majority of these people, if they're going to be a building-based sub for 180 days, that is something that you offer. Some districts tend to stay away from that because, on a day when you don't need them, what are the implications? If you have 2 or 3 bus drivers that are there every single day and you actually don't need them, is that not financially responsible? So, it can go both ways.
Right. So it's a gamble. If there's a real shortage of substitutes, then you need them, and you need them on a daily basis, then you offer them some kind of contract where they get paid 5 days a week, whether you need a sub or not, in order to have a sub when you need them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that in that case, going forward, if we decided something like that they would have to be offered benefits. I thought that was still a per diem thing. They were just guaranteed 5 days.
No, that's a contractual, whatever contract they fall under would be the contract that we'd have to follow with them then.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they were hired.
Some that would have to be negotiated.
Okay. I just was curious about that because I know that we can't do anything about it this go round. I was just seeking clarification for a future thing.
I think they're good questions because we heard so much about transportation issues, substitute bus drivers, things like that, and it seems as though our department runs above average.
Well above average.
Whatever we need to do, you know, to make that the case going forward. We appreciate everything that that they do for us. We heard of years of problems in transportation, not just here, but in other districts, and they seem to do a nice job here compared to what we hear otherwise.
Okay, so the plan is, I'm just going to recap just so that everybody knows. Going forward, what we'll do is John and I are going to look at the budget. We're going to make some changes. We're going to present some options to you in the future at a future board meeting, like hearing, like we used to, like a little retreat where we just talk about the budget. Is that what everybody wants?
Do you mean a public hearing, or are you talking a work session on the budget?
No, I'm talking work session. Sorry, I couldn't find the words.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to do the best we can to float a date. Of course, with the restrictions, you know, with the restrictions that we face, what we can do. You know, you talked about a committee. If not everybody's able to make it, then it can be a budget committee. But yeah, let's keep that dialogue going forward, and let us know what timelines are looking like, what the state is telling you.
Okay, as I know more about the information that I get, if SED releases any more guidance about it, if I hear anything from the school business officials that know more, I will certainly keep you all apprised of it. Again, there's a lot of questions we don't have the answers to. I think that contracts are going to be another thing as we look forward. We have contracts with people who are supposed to be providing us services. What do we do if they're not here to provide us services? Contractually, are we obligated to pay them? So these are some questions that we're all asking and trying to get the answers to. And I will know more for you what that surplus will look like once I have some answers on those things. So
on that contract question, and just a question, I guess, for John. So with our SRO, it sounds as though we're banking hours with Howard now, depending on how long the shutdown lasts. That bank only needs to be so big. So you wonder if, you know, what we do about that contract and recouping.
Yes, that is correct. So currently, the other 4 districts in our region that have SROs, we have, we're kind of waiting to see, you know, what the governor is going to do. And that's part of my next presentation to the board is some information on the closure. Howard was here for the day on March 18th when students were here to pick up their supplies and materials. He did spend a few hours with me on a Friday delivering some materials. And as of right now, you are absolutely correct. There is no need for him to be here. We are banking 8 hours a day that he's not here. And there's going to come a time where we need to reach out to the sheriff's office if this extension goes beyond what I think it, you know, which again, it'll be part of my next presentation. What do we do? Does this roll into next year? Do we ask for some funds back? Because again, we are paying for a service through the Genesee County Sheriff's Office that currently they aren't providing. He's also considered a first responder. So those are discussions to be had. So I don't have the answers, but yes, as of right now, we are just accruing hours on the days that he's not here.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Nicole, I had one more question.
sure.
I think I heard you say, and I wanted to clarify this, that budgets that are under the tax cap would be passed without a vote?
That's a rumor I heard. I don't have anything behind that, but that's a rumor that I did hear.
So that would be, in order for that to happen, that would be some kind of executive decree that would have to be made? That would take that
I assume.
right of the voters to vote yay or nay on their own school budget?
I don't know the answer to that. Just a rumor that I heard
that is something that has been thrown out there. Again, as these days go on, there's a lot of unanswered questions. And one of the concerns which I believe is going to occur, is that the governor in the next 48 hours is going to extend our closure. And again, we just don't know how long this is going to take. And our district's going to actually be in session for, the budget vote on May 19th. We don't have those answers. And if we aren't here, what do we do? Because, life still goes on and there's some business that needs to go on. So there was, rumors out there that could be a possibility that as long as you are under your tax cap, that they would say that the budgets could move forward without a public vote. But nothing official.
That's kind of horrifying. New York State is supposed to be a home rule state where localities get to vote on things. So that would truly be kind of horrifying. Just putting that out there, but
I don't disagree. And I've been saying to, the teachers and the staff and the community, we are just in uncharted waters right now and sailing the seas, and it's interesting.
I guess so.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions for Nicole before we move over to John? All right, I guess you're up, John.
All right, so I have a presentation for you. Let me see if I can pull this up. If Rob or you guys can verify that you see this.
Just make sure you pick entire screen.
Is that a direction for John or all of us?
Just for John.
Okay, thanks.
So I hit present on the PowerPoint here.
Now you're going to go in Google Meet in the bottom right-hand corner where it says present now. Maybe Nicole can show you if need be. Yep.
The bottom right.
The bottom right, yeah. Hover your mouse at the bottom of the Google Meet.
Your entire screen.
Yep, your entire screen. There it goes, it's starting. And very good, we now see it. So I'm going to pin that.
So is everybody able to see the slideshow?
Yes, sir.
Got
Yeah,
it.
just came up.
Okay. So I just wanted to provide the board and our OA community an update since our closure last week of where we are at, what we have been doing, and where we are going. So I wanted to explain some of the guidance that we received from New York State in regards to our closure, just to clarify some points. I know I received a lot of questions from not only students and teachers, but from community members on, is there an expected date to return to school? What are my thoughts? What's the feedback? So currently, right now, there is a waiver from the governor during this closure, which is effective beginning March 18th. And currently, right now, the waiver is for a period of 2 school weeks or 10 days. So the waiver, which we did apply for through the state portal, is effective March 18th through March 31st. So per his direction that all New York State schools need to be closed, these days do not count against us for student attendance. Currently, right now, this waiver does end March 31st. We, based on the response of the state of emergency from Genesee County on March 14th, which was a Saturday, that Saturday evening, the GVEP region did reach out to the communities to cancel school beginning on Monday, March 16th. So please understand that at the initial outbreak of all this, the departments of health, along with the governor and at the state level, were not in conjunction with one another. So obviously the GVEP region schools closed due to, again, Genesee County declaring a state of emergency on Saturday, March 14th. So our closing began obviously last Monday, March 16th. Since the governor's waiver doesn't take hold until March 18th, we had to use an additional 2 emergency days or snow days for March 16th and March 17th. So currently right now, we have used 4 snow days or closure days, and we have 1 remaining, which at this point in the time of the school year, I'm not too concerned about. So if the governor holds true and does not make any further statements regarding extended closures, his waiver ends March 31st, and we will resume school next Wednesday, April 1st. Please keep in mind, if you take a look at our school calendar for this year, if that holds true, we would be in session on Wednesday, April 1st, Thursday the 2nd, and Friday the 3rd, and then we hit our spring break. So then we would be off for another 6 days. So I am hoping that within the next 48 hours, which I do think is going to happen, the governor will extend this waiver. I am hearing that he may extend it through the end of April, which would be us returning possibly to school on Monday, May 4th. But again, all of this is, minute by minute and hour by hour and day by day. But if this were to hold true, we would be returning to school next Wednesday, April 1st. And
So
again,
3 days, and then there's going to be the Easter break.
that is correct. And at this point, the school districts are holding true to their spring breaks. And we will, at this point, do the same. The concern that I have is a lot of people have heard that the Erie County schools are closed through April 20th or returning back to school on April 20th. We're all kind of scratching our heads on why that date, because if the governor doesn't extend this waiver, then these school districts do not qualify under the 180-day school requirement. So they would either have to extend their school year, because obviously they've been closed as we have, during this time. So I do believe that he will extend this waiver, but I see a lot of districts, if they don't, backtracking and returning to school on Wednesday, April 1st, because they would be required to at least have 180 days of instruction.
How does the county versus the state weigh in here, John? So we closed because of the county, not the state, right? The county declared a state of emergency. If the state were to say kids can come back, but the county remains under a state of emergency, how do those two balance?
Correct. And so that is the communication that muddies the water here. If the county calls a state of emergency and we get directives from, Kevin McDonald over in GVEP and the 22 area school districts close, I'm not going to be the only one open. So when we were actually inputting the information into the portal and we spoke last Friday, we did notice that his waiver began on March 18th. So I don't know if there's going to be some backtracking with the state, with the county at this point. Unfortunately, a lot of this seems to be kind of knee-jerk reactions. And so unfortunately, the state, as far as the waivers go and some of the grant monies and federal monies we get to pay for, some of this food service takes precedence. But if our county declares a state of emergency, we're definitely closing.
Right.
And so, I don't know if the governor would, backtrack and notice the number of counties that did declare states of emergencies and give us a waiver for those 2 days. Luckily, we're in a good position that we're okay for now. And we're just waiting to see if that March 31st deadline is extended.
Okay, thank you.
What I wanted to do is explain to the community and the board, again, 5 different areas that whether we're required or what we've decided as an administrative team and a district to do as far as this closure plan. So the 5 categories, I want to talk about our plans for the food provisions for our students and community, the continuation of education, our childcare provisions, which is mandated by the state, some of the website resources available to our community members, and then how we are taking care of ourselves, whether that be students, our faculty, its staff, administrators, and parents. So currently, right now, last week, Wednesday, I had met with the teaching staff on Monday of our first day of closure and outlined a plan for what our expectation of was for the teachers, for the different departments, and then what last week should look like moving forward. On that Wednesday, the 18th, we began our breakfast and lunch grab-and-go bags. And we decided that we would have pickup here at the school between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. in the middle high school bus loop. I cannot thank Mary Della Penna and her crew. They are exhaustively working each and every day to provide these breakfast and lunch grab-and-go bags. I can say that on average, we have served about 400 per day. And delivery service is also available. We sent out letters and robocalls and emails and text messages that if a family, had some hardship or students had some hardship in getting here for the pickup, to contact an administrator. And we have a running list of families and students that need our delivery service. We are doing that each and every day. And starting next week, we will only be serving on Mondays and Wednesdays for pickup and delivery. We certainly want to make sure that our cafeteria staff is protected during this time. So the least amount of exposure they have here on school campus will serve them. So on Mondays and Wednesdays next week, we will certainly have the pickup and delivery. The Monday pickup and delivery will obviously contain Monday and Tuesday food portions. And then our Wednesday pickup and delivery will contain for the rest of the week. And Mary is very well, has identified the foods that could certainly last, the 48 hours if picked up on Wednesday. They are making these early in the morning, so everything is fresh. And it's been very well received within the community, and we are certainly, serving our students. And we will continue to do so through the closure. A lot of discussion has been had during spring break. I plan on continuing with this food service during spring break, but not on Good Friday or the following Easter Monday. But we will be here during the spring break time to provide, food to our community.
John, does that have Mary and her staff busier than they would be otherwise, serving more meals? Is this about what it is when school's in session versus those that packed in?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
I can do that. This is more meals for sure than
Right.
when we're in session. So it's a little different what we're serving. The breakfasts are easy. But I mean, today she's serving make your own pizzas. So we had to individually portion out cheese, sauce, etc., and put those in to-go bags, basically. So it's been a lot of work. I've been there every single day to oversee what's happening. So I think from a standpoint of safety, we really need to make sure that we understand that Monday and Wednesday pickup is only for their safety. I mean, these are the only people that we have here at the school, really, besides administrators. So they've been serving a lot of meals. We're serving anybody ages 3 through 18. That's the way the program guidelines are set up. So I don't think, the first day we served just about 375, and we've been serving almost that every single day since. So that means 375 breakfast, 375 lunch. So in total, last week we served over 1,800 meals. So it's been a lot. It'll be helpful for her staff. It's a lot to have to come out. Her staff are the most at risk, some of them, So I appreciate what they've been doing, and I can't say enough good about, the variety and the amount of food that we've been putting in the bags. So to answer your question, yes, I wanted to brag on Mary a little because I know that sometimes, we have a lot of differences here, but she's just done a great job with everything.
I couldn't expect the distribution of food to go any better. The number of volunteers, teacher volunteers, some of the administrators, really this district has come together, and we've actually had to turn some of the volunteers away just because we have enough. And it's, I've been out there myself, and it's just, it's great to, see these families pull up and wave and smile and to be able to provide this service to them. And again, Mary and her crew are just working their tails off to do this for our community. I can't thank them enough.
Nicole, I'm sorry, Lorna, go ahead.
Well, I thank them all too. That's really amazing. I just wanted to ask a clarifying question. Is this 375 breakfast and 375 lunches, or 375 combination of both?
Individually. 5 lunches, then plus 375 breakfasts.
Okay. And then for a day when you're doing it for 2, then that's obviously double
2 breakfast and 2 lunch, correct.
in a day. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on Wednesday, that will be triple that for.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, all last week we did it daily. This week we're doing it daily. And then again, as the closure continues, we're going to do it twice a week. This follows suit with most of the districts in the region, that once this kind of got off the ground and we had a system going and knew the amount of deliveries we need to make, we could back off on being here daily and provide, 2 or 3 days of pickup a week.
I've been here a few times myself, and everything you say is true. The kids are happy to have the lunches, and pulling in, pulling out. It all seems to be pretty well organized, and looks great.
Nicole, how many staff members does Mary have there to help her out?
Well, last Wednesday through Friday, it was 2 staff members. And then I also was assisting. And then this week we started with having more people. It's very difficult. We can't require that people come in. So we've actually went through our seniority list to have volunteers who wanted to come in. And then additionally, we've had one of our subs that has agreed to come in.
Okay.
Because we had, again, we're looking at, people that are higher risk. So don't blame them for not wanting to come in. So.
Agreed.
So, but they've been doing a great job. I really can't say enough about it. We've been laughing in there. They're just a joy to work with. So.
And John, you said this is open to teachers as well to come in and volunteer to help, or it's just Mary?
They have asked, and we have a running, spreadsheet of who's coming in. We honestly, want to restrict the number of volunteers. Obviously, we don't want people here on campus. We're told to stay home. So while we need, a few volunteers, the outpouring from, the teachers and this district has been unbelievable, to the point where we actually have to tell people no, just because we want to, maintain control and make sure that, everybody's taking care of themselves as well. So, we just have a running Excel sheet of who's here.
And I've sent out some guidelines for when they're here, exactly what our expectations are of them. Just, again, to keep everybody safe. We're supposed to be social distancing. I want to make sure they understand, we have to make sure we're moving in a healthy manner for everybody here, safe.
So even though her crew is small, she's definitely got enough support to get these meals out.
We've been working together hard. Some days it's been challenging, but we've done it, and it's great.
It's a huge
rewarding.
Hey, John, along the lines of food, maybe I just mention real quick, we've got the food pantry here at the elementary school, and I think their need has gone up in this shutdown. I think they're feeding more families now. Lynn and Sue Zila, I think, help manage that. So I just mentioned that, through these hard times, it's there's plenty of people that are in need. through?
Yes, absolutely. And that was my next thing. So Lynn wrote me an email yesterday that they have just served now 18 families. They are boxing up all of their goods that they have within the food pantry, and again, providing pickup and delivery service to families in need. So currently we are serving, 18 families through that food pantry. And again, I can't thank Lynn and those volunteers enough for what they're doing for our community. Unfortunately, like I said, I think as the days go on and possibly the weeks get extended here, there's going to be even more of a cry for help, and we'll certainly step up and do what we need to do.
John,
So,
can
Is
food
there,
be- Oh, sorry, Morna. We're talking at the same time, you and I today. Go
right,
ahead.
think alike, thank you. Is there a way for people to make contributions to the food pantry?
Yeah.
Yes, we are looking at that currently. Again, we're just going to kind of see how, we've only been a week into this. Again, we started the food last Wednesday. We're going to kind of meet together at the end of the week. I've been meeting with administrators almost daily on just the state of the district, so to say. And if the need arises, we'll certainly throw that information out there. But we are okay for now.
Okay.
Are there any other questions? So one of the things that we also needed to put in place is the continuation of education. Unfortunately, the timing of all of this really handcuffed school districts. The students had left on March 13th, and the time to close schools came over the weekend. So on that Wednesday of last week, we did open up the schools and varied times for grade levels and families to come in and kind of clean out their lockers, grab their materials, grab their resources, Chromebooks. So they had those things at home. I thought that day went very, very well. I would like to say that at least at the middle level, about 95% of the students came in. Howard and I did 5 deliveries of students within the whole building. At the elementary didn't come in, and the high school was very well received. So I thank the community for taking the time to come in and grab their students' educational resources. So the continuation of education, our philosophy here was we certainly understand the stress, the anxiety, how different this is for our students. We certainly understand that there are pockets within the community that don't have internet access. We certainly understand that there are students now, mainly at the high school, that may take on different roles as now that they are home. And if, maybe mom or dad or both of them are working, that have taken on the leadership role of supervising their younger siblings. So our philosophy with the teachers was that we want to keep minds sharp, but we also want to make sure that, students are, not, anxiety riven and stressed with possibly the amount of work that's given to them. So we focused our instruction on review and activities to, again, keep students engaged, keep students connected with their teachers and the district, but not to overwhelm them with, homework and projects and things that were going to be graded. And so it also gave the teachers the freedom to use the platform that they felt comfortable with. We did not provide any direction on what that work should look like. We had baseline directions that we expect teachers to reach out to their classes weekly to provide, again, those, brain activities to keep their mind sharp and some sort of review once a week, because we certainly understand too that a lot of our staff are now at home with their own kids, and they need to be there as, providing, parenting for these students. So I believe our philosophy has been very well received within the community, within, the teachers, within, the parents that I've spoken to. And I'll talk a little bit more about how we're taking care of our staff and our students and our parents on my last slide. But basically, we're continuing on with providing students, again, resources, different platforms based on, their comfortability and what the teachers want to provide in continuing, the education of our students.
John, I'd just like to add, I was at the elementary school and in the high school, and what you're saying is very true. I was very impressed with how the day was structured for people coming in and coming out. The number of teachers that was there speaks volumes to the staff. Just a lot of love in both of the buildings. And as far as the work that's going home, I couldn't be any happier. It seems very balanced. And most importantly, I think it's that personal touch-in that the teachers are giving to 4 out of my 5 kids right now. It's being done really well. I think. So thank you to you and to the staff who's worked really hard to kind of keep things as normal as possible.
Again, I can't thank this teaching staff because again, hearing closure on a Saturday night and having to walk in here on a Monday morning to hear how we are going to proceed, is stressful. There was a lot of anxiety. We did kind of feed them late the week before about just start thinking about this if this comes. And again, they weren't here when school was closed. We were hoping that maybe there would be an announcement made on a Monday morning so we could send these students home with their, with the information. So, but these teachers just face the challenges head on, and they are just doing an outstanding job. And again, towards the end of my presentation, I'll let you know what we are doing, and we are closely monitoring not only our staff but our students. And the amount of connections that these teachers are making with their students and the continuity of education is what they're calling it, has been just top notch here in the district. And I can't thank the teachers enough. They are working hard, and so are our students. So I can't thank them enough.
Yay, OA.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the executive orders that school districts received were that we were to provide an outlet, provide provisions for childcare, more so in the sense of the essential workers, the healthcare workers, and first responders. So our GVEP region, mainly more so here in Genesee County, we reached out to childcare facilities. We reached out to, Healthy Kids. I was working with Annabelle Solar over in Batavia and Ned Dale in Elba. And obviously Kevin McDonald spearheaded, reaching out to these organizations. And we have partnered with Kelly's Imagination Station in Batavia and Community Action of Orleans and Genesee counties to provide these services. We were approached numerous times about companies and programs wanting to be a part of this and provide childcare within our buildings, which the superintendents agreed that we need to provide this source, but we are not going to be the childcare providers, nor would we end up using our facilities. We thought that was too risky at this juncture. So I have created a letter yesterday, and a text and email went out to our community along with a letter on Facebook in providing contact information if there are any families that need help with childcare that are first responders or are essential healthcare workers that need to report to work.
So these are, the school district makes the arrangements for this and pays for it, or
No,
gives the contact information and pays
we,
for it, or how does it
yeah.
work?
So the executive order, which again is another survey that I had to upload into the state portal, is what is our plan to help provide childcare to the healthcare workers and first responders within our district. So basically that is the bottom line, that we needed to take the role and responsibility of providing at least some information to the families of our community of how they are to receive childcare if they are to report to work. Bottom line, the governor did not want to hear the excuse from a family that they couldn't report to work if they were essential because of childcare. So he put that on the districts at this time to reach out and give our community residents information.
So all that the school does is provide information?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, depending on the district that you're in, there are various, organizations and county services that provide. So I will let you know that, Elba, myself, Batavia, we have the same information. And again, through Kelly's Imagination Station and the Community Action of Orleans and Genesee counties is the information we were providing.
Thank you.
Yep. So we as an administrative team have put a lot of website resources out for our community. If you visit the website, you'll see that you'll get a pop-up. These are also listed under our district tab, COVID-19 alerts. Rob has done a fantastic job with putting out some technology enrichment and some internet options for our families and community. Please understand that when all of this occurred, I'm sure you can imagine that our emails were blowing up about free services and free equipment and free platforms and, all of those types of things, which I believe obviously is very opportunistic for these companies to do so. But Rob has narrowed all of that information down. So there's some technology enrichment and internet options for families if they, need to receive some information on that. We have 3 different check-in forms that I had mentioned previously in regards to monitoring our community, our staff, and our students here. We have a family check-in form that's available online that a family can go and input information and then just provide some feedback to us. And they can answer that many times throughout this closure. If they are in need of any assistance, they want to reach out to us. We check that daily. All of those responses come to our administrative team, and then we review those. And if there's a family in need, or there's a question out there or something that we can assist with, we certainly reach out to those families. We have the same thing for our staff and students, and I don't want to show you an example just because there's some running tallies and I don't want to give out any private information, but we sent out a student check-in form. And on that form, we ask the students, how well are they sleeping? Have they eaten? How often do you eat? Do you need help with homework? Anything else you want to let us know about? And the responses that come in from the students, and the form went out through grades 6 through 12. And we, again, review those daily. Those responses come to all the administrators and the 2 counselors up here at the high school. And the response has been just through the roof. We've received over 250 responses from the kids. And a lot of it is, again, just a check-in. We ask the kids to fill it out weekly. There have been suggestions and comments about needing help with homework. So I know Chad and Kristen do follow-ups with these students. Then they reach out to the individual teachers about these students saying, hey, you may want to contact this student. They need some help with science or math or whatever. And the response has just been overwhelming. I can't thank the counseling center up here enough and our administrators, because we are monitoring these students daily. And students feel very comfortable in just providing us, their information. One of the questions that we ask is, how are you doing today? And I'm doing great. I'm doing okay. I feel meh. I'm struggling, or I need to reach out. I'm in crisis. And so all of these are flagged. We review them again daily, and we're just making, a reach out to our students, depending on what their needs are. We've also done the same check-in form for our staff. An email went out yesterday asking basically the same thing. How are you doing? Is there anything that we can help you with? And the responses have been fantastic. And all of those responses just go to the administration here. And, if there's any staff member that needs a reach out or a phone call or, needs assistance, we are certainly here to help. So, we are certainly, taking care of all, three stakeholders in regards of, just these check-in forms. The one that's on our website again, though, is our family check-in form. If there's a family out there in the community that needs some assistance, feel free to fill out that form and we'll certainly respond. Also on our website, we do have the lunch menu. We do have an extended closure plan, a lot of frequently asked questions, and certainly the answers to those. We have a counseling support plan, which has resources for local agencies. This kind of went out to our K-5 program. I know Joe and Sarah have been doing a fantastic job, and once again, following up with families and students that are in need. And again, we have the internet options and the childcare information on our website under the district tab. So I just want to talk about taking care of ourselves. I had mentioned the student check-in form. Once again, that was actually emailed to students individually through the district. Students can respond to that, every day, once a week. It includes, again, just keeping up on their education if they need some, help and assistance. If they're having some social emotional needs, our counselors are reaching out. Again, we have a running tally and an Excel sheet of, who those children are, and we're servicing them daily. Again, we have that parent family check-in form. We have the staff check-in form. And again, we are reviewing that daily. We had mentioned that all of our full-time, part-time, long-term employees are receiving pay and benefits during this closure. We are meeting as an administrative team almost daily for the state of the district. Yesterday, I met with the administrative team through this same platform, the Google Meet, because at the same time, a lot of our administrators are working from home for their own safety and well-being. But we are meeting on a daily basis to go over, what's working, what's not, what needs to be tweaked, and if we need to initiate some other program or initiative as these days go on. And Jordan's crew, I can't thank them enough for the cleaning, disinfecting of our buildings and grounds. On that Wednesday after, and actually I should say during, when the families were in, their staff were constantly, cleaning and disinfecting the classrooms and the buildings. And the Thursday, Friday afterwards, really flush the buildings out. And obviously, as the weeks go on, and if there's a chance that we're going to return to school, we'll certainly do the same before everybody comes back. But I can't thank the cleaning staff enough for all their hard work during this time. Again, I'm proud to be the superintendent here. I didn't think within my first year or so that this would ever come down the line. And with the administrative staff, just the teaching staff and the support staff and all of the different departments, I just can't thank this community enough. I mentioned to the teachers and everybody on Monday that there is not a district that I would want to be with and hold hands with other than the people here in challenging times. And again, we don't know what the next few weeks or few months are going to bring. And I just want to thank everybody. And the community has been fantastic. The outpouring of volunteers and how can I help has just been astronomical, and it's fantastic. And I know we're going to get through this, and we'll get through this as a team. And everybody just needs to keep their head up and eyes focused moving forward. And hopefully we return back to school soon and everything gets back to normal. Anybody have any questions?
So I'll say that I do look at the press releases from all the schools and compare how we're doing as a district to what I see from what other schools are offering, and I'm pleased with the way this district has responded with the meals, getting the kids back into the school as safely as possible to retrieve all their belongings. I feel good in a tough situation with how this district has responded. So thanks for your leadership on that. A little bit off the subject, that the poll that you floated out to the community closed. I know that you'd said it was going to be sometime before they give us our feedback on that, but do they let you know how many responses? Do they give you anything regarding that, John?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Community and staff and student poll that closed on the 20th. Did they give you any communication regarding here's how many responses we received?
Oh, the climate survey.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're referring to? No, so I reached out and they are extending the window until further notice. They certainly understand that we are in a crisis situation. Yes, the closing of that window was actually Friday, and so they're extending it until further notice.
Okay.
Once that window closes, that's when I will reach out and ask them about the number of responses, and they usually try to have a quick window, which ours was a 2-week window. But they will, they'll contact me and say, geez, not enough students took it. We don't have enough community members. We didn't have enough staff. And again, just with this closure, I know that probably half our students still hadn't taken it. So they're extending that window until further notice for us.
Okay, thank you.
I had a question, John, and I don't know if you know the answer to it. It goes back to the continuation of education.
Mhm.
Your answer is probably no, but I can't resist asking. Have you heard anything about the high school classes, about seat time for taking Regents exams, scheduling of Regents exams, lab work for Regents exams? What credits for high school students? Do you have any insight on any of those things yet?
Sure. The only thing that came down from the state this week is they did cancel the 3 through 8 math and ELA assessments, along with the grade 4 and grade 8 science. Nothing official has come from the state in regards to Regents exams, AP exams. My own daughter is in a couple APs and she's worried about credit and, what are these exams going to look like? I will assume within the next few weeks that'll be a little clearer. What I think could happen if this extension continues possibly through April into May is that it would be a local decision. If we do return to school, I could see the regents letting school districts, create possibly their own finals based on what a teacher has taught in the course. And it would be a local decision whether to give credit or not. But nothing has been discussed and we haven't really received any guidance from the state. Like I said, it was just a few days ago that they canceled the 3 through 8 assessments. So we'll see about that. It's again, nobody has those answers.
Okay, I just thought I'd check to see if you'd heard anything.
Yeah. I want to go on record and say that I feel bad for the seniors because, I know Mr. Peterson had sent out an email and a letter to the seniors. This is always their year. And, you throw in, graduation and prom and their senior trip. And all of that is just really put on hold. And I feel bad for seniors that possibly play a spring sport. We don't have any answers about, our spring sports going to occur. And, they're being robbed of their senior year. And a lot of questions that the superintendents have is if we actually don't return back to school, what do we do with the seniors? Do we just send them off and say, hey, you graduated? There's a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of stuff that's just floating out there that, nobody has the answer for. So, we'll cross those bridges when we get to it. And again, it's constantly changing daily, and I'll keep the board and the community, up to date as soon as I hear any sort of directive or guidance from the state.
Then I have one more question about the climate survey. Did that go out to a sampling of the school district, or did it go out to the entire community? And in what form did it go out?
It went out to the whole community that have students within our district. So it went out to all of the parents of students in our district. It went out through a link that Rob had created, so they didn't have to have a login or a password. And those went out to households. There was a letter that went home with the bit.ly link and with some direction on, taking the survey within that 2-week window.
Okay.
And the survey here will be taken all students grades 3 through 12, and it went out to all of district staff.
Okay.
But again, given the fact that, we now are dealing with this closure, they have extended the window until further notice.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Matt, you're on mute.
All right, thank you. Thanks, John. Okay, on to new business. Be it resolved that items 8.2 through 8.9 be approved via consent agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Did we get a second there?
Yeah.
Jeff? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Communications, just what is attached in our board docs meeting there from Genesee Area Healthcare. Nothing for discussion, roundtable, and I don't think there's probably any committee meetings. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
Okay. Under executive session, be it resolved that the Board of Education enter executive session at 12:31 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the employment of a particular person. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Tim's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.